it's right after a patch or right after a big shift in the meta because Zergs they thrive when the game is almost solved to a point.
อะไรกันครับนี่อะไรกันครับนี่3 นาทีเลทไป3 นาทีฮะทอดไก่แล้วมันนึกได้ตัวเองยังไม่ได้กินก็เลยทอดเผื่อตัวเองบวกเวลาอีกนิดนึง
We'll see exactly where he goes from here. He does have one Phoenix out right now, just cleaning up that Overlord is now.
นั่นไงลืมว่ามีแข่งแล้วสั่งตอนแบบ4 โมงแบบปิ่มๆไม่เป็นไรนี่ตัวกะเพราครับผมอันนี้คือกะเพราโอเคมาดูเกมครับ2 เบสแล้วโปรตอสซัพพลายยังสูสีนะยังไม่มีประเด็นอะไรที่มันหนักหนาสาหัสยังไม่มีประเด็นอะไรหนักหนาสาหัส
off of a third base. Now, I don't believe the second Stargate has been scouted or can be scouted for a while. I mean, the Phoenix.
สวัสดีครับมาเชียร์ทุกคนที่เล่นโปรตอสครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับ
Whenever you see like a 2 Stargate play.
ก็ยังไม่เปิดทายผลนะเดี๋ยวเปิดให้เกม2ฮะเพราะว่ามันต้องเปิดล่วงหน้าดูฟอร์มไปก่อนเกมแรกดูฟอร์มก่อน
The idea is that you're just going to have so much more than what the Zerg is ready for that the minimum defense they set up to protect the Overlord's drones and queens isn't going to be enough.
Right, we see that right now as Zest is starting to pick off some Overlords here in the main base. One more transfusion off, that queen barely.
เจอตัดซัพพลายครับโอเวอร์ลอร์ฮะนั่นแหละเตสต้องอย่าให้เล่นอย่าให้ซูเล่นง่ายครับซูชื่อได้เป็นภาษาอีสานนี่แย่นะตู
And the Twilight Council, we'll see if he's able to find any more damage, but soO, I mean, to his credit, his queen count's really high. He's got a spore crawler here. Some drones will go down, but this is almost inevitable when you get this number.
พยายามตัดซัพพลายครับเซตรันซัพพลายเริ่มสะดุดแล้วไม่ค่อยดีแล้วเนี่ยทามมิ่งช้าไปแล้วครับให้สังเกตซัพพลายแม็กก็ได้ซัพพลายแม็กของทางฝั่งเซิร์กเนี่ยรันไปถึง122แล้วแต่ก็ด้วยความเป็นเซิร์กก็แหละแต่คือถ้ามันทิ้งระยะไปอย่าเซิร์กจะซัพพลายแม็กก่อนแล้วก็มาแล้วระเบิดวอลเข้ามาได้ครับผมเซตช้าเซนที่ช้าแล้วทามมิ่งเสียเจอรันบายเบลลิงยัดมามินเนอรัลไรจังหวะนี้ระเบิดครับจะหนีก็หนีไม่ได้โอ้ฟอร์ดฟิลบล็อกทางตัวเองนี่แค่เซิร์กลิงกับเบลลิงกรุ๊ปเดียวเท่านั้นครับผมปั่นป่วนเลยยังไงครับพลังแห่งอดูไม่น่าช่วยวอเกอร์ดรอปมาเหลือ51ครับอาร์มี่เหลือ25แล้วมีเบลลิงเข้ามารอตัวเดียวไม่พอต้อง2ตัวยกยิงโอเคเคลียร์ยกยิงเคลียร์เหลือแต่ฟินิกพอเล่นฟินิกปุ๊บอะด้านล่างปุ๊บมันจะอ่อนแอครับผมสวัสดีครับกรุ๊ป A อยู่ใน YouTube นะครับผมดูได้เลย
For me, the question is, how is Zest going to take it from here? We see he's pumping out Immortals, but, I mean, when you have your full tech tree kind of scattered out, as it happened there with soO going in for that run by, it's really not a good feeling. You want to have at least some...
เกมแรกก็จะเจอผมนั่งกินอยู่แป๊บนึงแต่รอบจะรีบกินจะไม่ให้มันกินเวลาไปเยอะมาก
Because they can just kind of navigate their army in a way that is going to be really punishing for you in the mid-game.
He did get to see that double robo attack here, although we don't see the robo being used right now, neither of them. And he's now going to go into Stalkers, you know, with the weapons attack. Now, again, we saw Mass Stalker before, you know, on Monday from Hero, but this is a very different game. We've had major techs, 2 of them.
โอเคพยายามหาลาสป่วนคืนเหมือนกันครับเซตเซตใส่แว่นนะสู่ด้านล่างครับ
Absolutely, the tempo is totally different. I would say at this point, Hero would have been pushing forward, maybe even set posturing to take a 5th base, but instead
ใช่เพราะว่าเซิร์ฟมันอ่อนแอทางอากาศไม่มีแค่ควีนครับกับในส่วนของสปอร์คอยเลอร์ที่กันเจออีกแล้วเนี่ยสต็อกเกอร์ชนเบลลิงได้
You really do not want your eco to get interrupted at all as we see soO now pushing 85 drones, and from here on out, gonna be a lot of military production. I don't know if Zest
โอเค
is gonna
ตัด
be
ซั
able
พ
to
พลายไป
hang
แต่
on
เซตซัพพลายน่าเป็นห่วงมากนะ จริงๆ ในจำนวนวอร์เกอร์ด้วย
the mass Ling
อาร์มี่ด้วย
I feel like is
เกมตามแบบสุดๆเลยครับ
Yeah, I
ตอนนี้
agree. I think he doesn't quite have the kind of weaponry to actually
ขนาดว่ายูนิตลอสอ่ะแค่1,100เองนะแต่มันโดนทำลายจังหวะโดนทำลายไทมิ่งไปเรื่อยๆครับ
But Lings are great against them. And you know the Banelings
ก็
basically
สวัสดีครับทุกท่านนะยังไงพูดคุยกันได้เลยครับที่ช่องแชทนะ
and everything else they hit is going to be of value. So you know this could be a 1-2 punch victory here for soO where he's going to
โอเคฮารัสมาอีกรอบหนึ่งครับเกมไม่ชัดมาจากต้นทางบิตเรทเขาคงน้อยอ่ะผมว่า
Speaking of Immortals not dying to Banelings, that one tanked like 10 of them.
Yeah.
ไม่พากครับอันนี้ไม่ได้พากอันนี้นั่งดูด้วยกัน เลี่ยงเดี๋ยวแบบจับมาพากโดนลิขสิทธิ์กันยับ นั่งดูด้วยกันดีกว่าโอ้เอาละเซิร์ฟโอเวอร์รันเอาละครับโปรตอสดูพลังยูนิตไม่มีชิวแบตแปะอะเรียบร้อยโอ้ไม่มีชิวแบตแปะมีชิวแบตอยู่ตรงนี้ครับแต่อาร์คอนน่าจะไม่พอครับฟินิกก็เก็บได้แต่พวกแอร์ไงซัพพลายดรอปมาสูยังไงสูชอบว่ะระเบิดไม่น่ารอดนี่คือผมไม่น่ารอดโอเคแต่เวอร์เกอร์มันยังโอเคอยู่อะแต่อาร์มี่มันครึ่งเลยครับเฮ้ยกันได้วะเฮ้ยกันได้เหรอหลักๆคือเน็กซัสนี้ครับอุ้ยเราจะโดด GG ไงกันไม่ไหวเก็บเกมแรกไปครับสู้
You know, as we watched Heroes games in day 1 of GSL, we were kind of wondering a little bit about how many other Protoss players would be able to try this, or if it was going to be something that was almost Beyond-esque in terms of the way that he's able to control his army and move across the map.
นี่มีคนพิดิกมาแล้วอะ
to replicate for these other players. And so I don't know, I still have that question in my head because if you're able to get that movement down with the Blink Stalkers and the Oracles, and you are able to get the map awareness and set up the walls as Hero did pretty much effectively, flawlessly.
ทำไมพิดิกไม่ได้ครับ
Of course, got some soO fans in the chat. soO's coming back now.
ก็ตั้งเหมือนเมื่อวาน
Excited about this. So nice to have an audience
in the studio,
in
bro.
the studio. Excuse
the plebs are in the chat. They're at home in their pajamas.
เฮ้ยได้แล้วนี่ไง
I've been spending too much time on Twitch, man.
I know.
But to the point that I was saying, it doesn't really surprise me that Zest was going for more of a tech-heavy style there because what we saw from Hero is like he has been workshopping this. 1 แฮช 1 แก๊ส 1 บูโอเคที่ต้องไปลงแฮชตรงนั้นเพราะว่าโดนโปรมันมาป่วนครับเพราะว่าเวิร์กเกอร์ของทางฝั่งโปรโตมันจะมาสเกลไว้แล้วก็จะมาฮาราสอะ Keep all the oracles alive to prevent any like Zergling surrounds. It can just kind of collapse, right? And maybe that's something that a lot of these other Protoss players have attempted in practice and haven't really been able to make work consistently yet. But frankly, from my perspective at least, based on the matches that we saw in day number 1, it feels like such an effective way of playing this matchup that I'm
เซตเปิดอเดฟครับ
a little surprised that we're not seeing players attempt this just yet.
อเดฟโอราเคิลคิดว่านะเพราะว่ามีสตาร์พอร์ตมาสตาร์เกต
You can see that when like going back to that last game, right? Like Zest went for the Phoenixes, and that also is a way to engage the Zerg, just like the Stalkers do. But the thing is, the Phoenixes basically come and kill a bunch of stuff, and then they have to leave. There's too many queens, and they're out of energy. And so it's like you hurt the Zerg, but the Zerg just kind of makes the drones again. It's not like it was nothing, but it seems like with the Stalker play, the threat is kind of constant. And
โอเคสักครู่ครับ
you can choose to press and fight on when you think you have an advantage, and the moment you think you're losing, you blink off creep and use the oracles to clean up anything underneath it. And it seems to just sort of have more momentum behind it.
It's all about momentum. It's all about tempo. Yeah.
มีออเดอร์เฉยเดี๋ยวเหมือนเดิมให้นั่งดูกันไปก่อนผมลงไปทอดไก่ครับ
surpassing the Zerg and worker count as he's pumping 6
เดี๋ยวขึ้นมาใส่ผลให้
And it should be pointed out, like, I mean, this is being casted by 2 Protoss players. Like, that's not what the matchup looks like normally.
Absolutely.
นะนั่งดูไปก่อนนะฮะประมาณ10 นาทีไม่เกินนี้หรอก
A great version of like alternative
ป
approaches.
รากฏมันจบเร็วก่อน ไม่น่าจบเร็วเพราะว่าเซิร์ฟ
People talk about
เล่น3เบส
as Terran players.
น่าจะ7 นาทีบวก
So this is all
เกมเนี้ย
kind of different. The whole game pacing is going to be. It's not going to look like if they went for bio tank or anything like that. But
เอ๊ะเดี๋ยวมาครับ
yeah, we're kind of seeing something similar idea-wise to that. Only this is more aggressive and less mech-like. But yeah, it's very cool to see. Now this time we have the glaives upgrade coming here. Zest is making some more gates. He's got a third.
Zest has cut worker. Okay, he's just now resuming pro production, making 2. For a second, I was wondering if this was going to be a feign, even with the gases, because it's a lot of glaive adepts that you can make off of 2 bases, and that third base with no residual pro production did make me curious, and we're going to see those adepts moving out now, and this does still feel kind of a little bit like a feign. I mean, Zest is just sitting on 41 workers right now, maybe hoping that soO overdrone just a little bit, because he's really amped up to just continuously produce adepts. I don't know if soO actually has...
Oh man, losing these adepts immediately is actually really bad.
Yeah.
Especially when you're investing in glaives. You really need to have like all the adepts there. Even having 3 or 4 that have been picked off.
Okay.
So many adept pressure builds are hinged on snowballing fights with the adepts, which means you need to have an overwhelming amount that once you get them weakened, they can never get back up.
Yeah, I'm not liking this for Zest anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he lost those 2 adepts, and there's a very small Ling run by the third base that saw a big warp in, and now soO is going to be ready for this. This initial engagement going really well for Zest, but we had a lot of roaches and Lings in production. Here they come across the map now. More adepts taking a ton of damage. We'll see if those shades are able to pop into the main base, and yes, they will, but 4 roaches already working for him, and this is just getting shut down. I mean, some drones will fall, but at what cost? This is almost 1,000 resources and adepts going down right now, and Zest, he's trying to make a transition into a double Stargate fleet beacon.
Oh man, I feel like you're going to lose your third if the Zerg chooses to attack you. I mean, obviously, since we can see everything in the game, it's easy for us to call. We'll see if soO actually goes for it. Yeah, look, man, we've had this with Zest in the past where when it seems like a lot of other stuff isn't working out, he just starts making adepts. And as each year passes, it seems like he loses more when he goes for these adept builds, excuse me, to be honest.
Even this small attack here at the third base is devastating. I mean, Zest doesn't have a lot of resources to deal with this right now. He will eventually be able to hold, but that's almost by soO's good graces because he's droning behind this. He's not making more roaches and Lings. This third base easily could have gone down,
but I guess he's already killed off enough workers. I mean, this third base is like a paperweight right now.
Oh, it's absolutely paid for itself. And at the same time, you know that soO is kind of scratching his head. It's like, okay, I know you have all these gateways because you just attacked me with the depths. Where is your money, man? Like, what are you doing? And the Overseer is going to come in here and potentially confirm that double Stargate as the first 2 carriers are out on the map. And soO right now, he's got a Spire, so we might see some big Corruptor or Muta switch coming into this. I'm interested in seeing where he's going to take his response. But right now, I mean... The supply looks advantageous for Zest, but that's because soO is making 2,000 res right now.
Yeah, dude. He is, you know, you never really see 2 carriers come and attack alone in this game, but we're having that now. He's going to try to see what he could clean up with that here. And I guess you take whatever you can get. See, in my head, I was thinking, okay, if he's going to go for carries, he's going to have to stay back for a little while before he can really show this. But he's going to come up here. He's going to get what looks like at least 3 queens, right? I don't see another transfusion coming down.
This is surprisingly good damage right now. Taking off these queens is really nice.
This kind of reminds me of when we saw the battle cruiser teleport in, on Monday and start to kill stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess they, you know, it really is a headache to deal with this air, you know, these air units like this. And now this game has been turned on its head because like we're seeing a lot of damage, including 6 drones, multiple queens picked off here. 4 carriers are now out, and Void Rays are going to come behind with that. But here come those Corruptors.
Yep.
And immediately one is shot down. No!
Oh, almost got the second one there as well. Barely surviving. Flux Banes and 3 more Void Rays now in production, but yeah, that counterattacked him much better than I thought it would. I was thinking the Spire maybe would be in time to get the Corruptors out, but right now, Zest, he's got to be careful. That's a lot of Corruptors coming in. They're going to immediately go after that carrier with low HP, even popping a Void Ray as it's coming out of the Stargate. And One Corruptor will go down, but I mean, you trade that there for a carrier any day of the week. You do not want to let the Protoss, that's not going to happen soon.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I have all this APM, what do I do with it? He does pull the fleet forward here and picks off another Void Ray. You know, Corruptors can be produced much more quickly than, you know, Void Rays or carriers or anything like that, but am I wrong in that I think Zerg can just match the Void Rays with his Corruptors and win the fight, and then the game goes from there?
I think you're right about that, but it might depend on how defensively Zest plays it, because I think if he stays at home with static defense, with shield batteries, and he doesn't get caught out of position, he might just be able to hold on and try and reach a critical mass, because right now, soO, he only has a 7-worker advantage, and he's just now taking his 4th base. I think it just finished. Right at the same time that Zest is getting his up, so the eco advantage is not quite as large as you might expect, and that kind of goes back to that 2-carrier attack that we saw from Zest earlier, killing a bunch of drones and resetting the queen count a bit, but here we go again. I mean, these are scary fights right now.
All right, he's not going to be able to deny the Nexus. He still can't contest the Protoss air fleet. I think you're probably right, State. I think that damage that was done with the carriers early on really went miles.
It took me by surprise, because when I was looking at it from the observing point of view, I was thinking that the tempo was just a little bit too slow, that soO was going to be able to identify this and have Corruptors out earlier, but just wasn't the case.
You know, in fairness, we don't see Protosses be that active with small numbers of air units at that phase of the game. And so maybe it's a thing where soO, you know, didn't respect the actual threat that could be there. But again, I think if you just keep piling on Corruptors, you eventually strong-arm the Protoss. He's going to come down here and try to ooze down the Nexus again. Oh, or not. But basically, it's all to try to draw the air fleet in for an actual fight. He doesn't want to fight over batteries or anything else like that.
That is a lot of Corruptors, and once it gets to the number where he can one-shot Void Rays, it'll become very scary, because that pretty much nullifies the effect of shield batteries. But
so Flyer attacks is done, which might trigger him to come in and attack.
I'm surprised by the Roach Ravagers we're seeing in production right now. I suppose maybe that's because, like, if you're going for an engagement and you throw down Corrosive Biles, I mean, these air units, you see them right now, they're stacking up, and if those Biles connect, it's going to do a lot of damage, so Zest will have to move his army away, and when he's moving it away, he's not doing damage.
Yeah.
But, interesting to see soO try and navigate this. He is able to pick off one Void Ray like that, just one shot. Does trade out 1 or 2 Corruptors for this. Going for a second, does get another.
Yeah,
and,
pulls back here. Air Weapons 2 is about to finish, which is only going to add more power here. Now, again, it's easy to just watch this from the Protoss's perspective and think, well, you know, he's not killing these carriers and Void Rays, but at the same time, you got to look at the map and realize that Zerg is continuing to grow here.
Right, there's no threat to the creep spread, for example. soO eventually is going to be taking another expansion, as we see that one pop off in the top left. And Archons, though, I gotta say, they changed the dynamic of these fights a lot, because suddenly there's much less risk of any of these air units for Zest getting picked off by the Corruptors, because the splash damage that Archons do on stacked Corruptors is kind of gross sometimes, honestly. Like, a couple of shots could pop all those babies.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. Zerg's maxed out, and Protoss is going to be maxed out shortly. And so we want to watch the amount of minerals and gas that are going to be banked behind that, because a lot of times when you have, especially with these play styles, which involve a lot of air units and a lot of posturing on either side, it comes down to both sides wiping their supplies out and then seeing who can fill theirs in better. And I think, to be honest, Zerg is just better at filling in their supply with what they need, because you know, essentially everything comes from larva. You can get exactly the right balance of what you need, whereas Protoss, it's like, well, you know, how many Stargate units can you remake versus how many Gateway units can you warp in versus how many Robo units do you need? So, regardless, we're going to see the Protoss try to push here. Again, with this many Archons against a Zerg air fleet, like, you got to be careful, man, as a Zerg, because Splash will just immediately kill everything.
All right, here we go. soO's really actually committing to this a little bit more than I expected, as the Banelings are rolling in. And he pulls back. I think he realized that was not the engagement he was looking for, but he ends up trading a ton of Banelings, a ton of resources that are going to eventually be sapped out from his bank just for shield damage on Archons. And if I'm Zest right now, I'm seeing that, and I'm thinking this is a huge opportunity.
If Zest can't push through and do a lot of damage now, then he never could have, because that was such a poor engagement from the Zerg. But, already we see the supplies spilling back up here.
Yeah, the Remax coming in strong for soO now, and there just doesn't appear to be enough splash damage. This fight now for Zest is really not the best because these Corruptors, they're kind of spread out. I mean, you see the numbers for the Sky Toss units for Zest. He's down to 140 supply, just 70 army, and eventually soO is going to be fully remaxed with all those units on the field, and Zest, he's trading out these units, and just like you said before, how many Stargates does he have? He can't really replace those critical units as quickly as soO can. If he wants to max, he's going to have to make a lot of gateway units, and that's not really what you want in this situation. It's a tough spot.
Yeah, it's rough, and I'll tell you what, man. I mean, I know this was one of the ways to play the game last year, but it's already looking kind of an anachronism, man. I mean, it's just an old way of playing, and we're kind of seeing it again be obsolete. We saw a lot of Protoss players basically lose with this style, where this is going to be just a massacre here. Bane's on to Archons because why not? Why not spend the money? You got to live a little. Oh man, even that bile hitting the carrier.
That bile is money.
Yeah.
Damn.
Look, I don't see the the Protoss making a lot of headway here. We're kind of seeing the Protoss basically fight in probably one of the best positions you could fight in on the map and not make any headway. And by the way, that position isn't near any base.
True.
There's no threats that are being generated. I mean, the Zerg doesn't, right now the Zerg can dump so many resources, and he just has, again, into an army.
The one issue for soO right now is that his mineral income is not that great. If you look at his macro management, I mean, he has so much gas income, even from that high Vespene geyser over there on the left, that hatchery, that he can't really replenish a lot of the units that he wants to. And so, I mean, Zest right now, he kind of has the opposite problem. He has all of these minerals, and he doesn't have any gas to make the high-tech units that he wants. Like, he's got these Archons on the field, but that's about it. So we're now suddenly in a situation where, yeah, those fights for Zest, they were not the best in terms of straight-up trades, and we finally do see Vipers coming out for soO. The 16-minute mark. This is a little bit late. I'm surprised we didn't see these earlier, but that's so many Archons, and here we go, another fight coming in. Those Banelings not doing a lot of damage. Archons getting a lot of splash in, and this engagement's about as good as you can expect there for Zest, but again, it's hard to push in.
I mean, soO really did a great job at winning that air fight. We didn't see the charge on the Void Rays either, and so now it does seem like there's more air dominance here. Now, again, the Archons are going to be the ultimate threat here, so we want to watch for that, but it does seem like over time, oh, nice hit on those workers. You just want to try to kite as best you can against these Archons. They are going to get whittled down. If you don't have more Zealots over here, Lings can eventually overcome this. And the last carrier goes down. It's a ground army. Now, in this tech switch, has the Protoss thrown the Zerg off enough? I feel like it's barely a no.
I think he might have, though. I mean, he has 3,000 minerals in the bank. You look at soO, he's remaxing on 44 Lings and 3 Roaches, and yes, Zest's army did mostly get wiped there. These Corruptors are going to try and find some damage on a Nexus, but if Zest is able to really build up his production, I mean, he's hitting the main mining bases right now for soO. That could be 30 Zealots and another 5 or 6 Archons on the field in the moment, and soO's really going to have no response for this. I feel like maybe the macro management, the way that he was diversifying his economy between mineral and gas just wasn't there yet, because this 3,000 gas in the bank, it's not providing any utility, and if Zest is able to successfully spend all this money on a purely ground army, I don't know what the response is going to be for soO, especially losing these bases in the top left. I mean, like...
I think you're right. I think Zest may barely win this. Like, it was just enough to get to that tipping point. We see these Lings are going to surround this one Immortal, which is going to be pretty important to kill. He doesn't even kill that. Yeah, we're going to go to game 3, I think.
I think we are. I mean, kind of a topsy-turvy game where both players maybe not taking the best trades, but Zest eventually eking out the advantage over the course of all of these battles.
There's a couple moments where soO really threw his Banes into the Archons. I think thinking it was going to be like a finishing, killing blow. And, that really did give Zest this, opportunity to punish hard. Now, we haven't ended the game yet. I mean, soO can still try to target down this Nexus, and the resource income is not that great right now for the Protoss, so let's keep that in mind here, too. Okay, he gets it again.
This helps soO a lot. This is the one thing he's really got going for him, because supplies are starting to equalize now, and I mean, Unfortunately for Zest, I love that you harped on this earlier. How when you're the Protoss player in these situations, you don't. It's not like you have larva and you can just build everything that you want with all your production.
Yeah.
Because if Zest had just gateways and no stargates, or if he had even 5 or 6 more gateways and he was able to warp in a full gateway army after that last engagement, I think he might have just been able to run soO over. But instead, he's just been trickling out this army, and that's barely giving soO enough time to stabilize. And so he's not out of the woods yet. He's trying to take this base down here at the 6 o'clock, and he's doing a great job of denying this expansion here
จะไม่จบอีกเหรอเนี่ย
at 12. Zest finally catching wind of this, and he's in position. He does not want that Nexus to get shut down again, but
เอ้ยภาพมาว่ะภาพของโปรตอนมาถึงชนะเลย เกิดอะไรขึ้นบ้างให้แชทเล่าเกิดอะไรขึ้นบ้างครับ เห็นด้วยไหมไม่เป็นไรครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีทุกคนนะมานั่งดูไปพร้อมๆกันอาจจะชิลๆมันจะเป็นบรรยากาศแบบนั่งดูบอลกันนั่งดูบอลแปะแฮชที่2ผมมีอะไรมาฝากผมมีข้าวต้มมัดมาฝากมีแต่ของกินนะช่วงเกมแรกๆเรียกว่าตุนก่อนข้าวต้มมัดถั่วดำข้าวเหนียวถั่วดำเหรอแล้วก็มีกล้วยใช่ไหม
Like for instance on this map, it could be where we see the second base being taken now, or it could be like center left. Kind of depends on the game.
จะหมดเวลาแล้วพี่ดิ
sculpting what kind of timing attack a Protoss can do. So I think you're kind of getting yourself into a position of at least knowing what to expect when you do this.
ตุนลงท้อง
And it's annoying.
It's very annoying
for the Zerg.
แฮช1 กับ 1 ภูครับทั้งฝั่งเฟสก็น่าจะเล่น
Probably gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean at the top level it comes and you just move on. You've dealt with it.
เดี๋ยวรอซาเบอร์นาติคอเสร็จอเดฟมา
Oh, you're absolutely correct. And you also have to
เบอร์วิงกลาดเดี๋ยวมาดูว่าจะถึงบิ๊กวอลไหมล้ำมันใหญ่มันเล่นบิ๊กวอลบิ๊กไฟสนุก
And that's an extra 5-10 seconds that drones aren't mining.
Right.
It adds up. But yeah, Zest is just—he's so quick about.
ผมเห็นอาคอนเยอะ
Zest is the one that sends the probe out the earliest, the most consistently.
คือดูในมือถือไงฮะจะดูแบบดูไปทอดไป
Now it's easy to forget, but let's mention again here there were adepts made in game 2.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot the way that game started with how strange it turned out.
โอ้กิฟต์ซับครับขอบคุณมากครับขอบคุณมากขอให้มีแต่ความสุขความเจริญทำอะไรทำมาค้าขึ้นนะฮะเดินหลับตาข้ามถนนรถยังไม่ชนเลยดวงมาหยิบหวยยังไงก็ได้เข้าแน่นอนช่วงนี้มีหวยออนไลน์นะเห็นปะผมซื้อไม่ทัน80 บาทมันต้องอย่างนี้มังกรฟ้าก็ทำมาตั้งงานเห็นมังกรฟ้าทำได้อะทำบ้าง
I was actually cracking up in some of the games. I couldn't hold back how ridiculous it was.
I love doing that.
ส่งของขวัญในทวิตคืออะไรคือการเขาเรียกว่าแจก Subscribe อะครับเวลาดูในทวิตอะบางทีมันเจอโฆษณาตัดไงบางคนเขาแบบโอ้โหมาตัดช็อตกำลังเข้าได้เข้าเข็มเลยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยเขาก็จะกด Subscribe กันเริ่มต้นรู้สึกผมจำไม่ได้ทวิตผมไม่ค่อยนี่มาก30ป่ะหรือ60ผมจำไม่ได้อะต่อเดือนอะ60มั้ง60อย่างของ YouTube มันเริ่มต้น30 บาทไงเริ่มต้น50 บาทผมตั้งไว้เริ่มต้น50 บาทของทวิตมันเริ่มต้น69ป่ะโอเคเนี่ยเห็นป่ะผมไม่ค่อยรู้แต่ผมเป็นพาร์ทเนอร์นะแต่เป็นพาร์ทเนอร์แบบลูกี้ไงฮะช่องเล็กมันเลยยังไม่มีเครื่องหมายถูกแต่มันก็ซับได้ครับซึ่งพอใครได้ Subscribe ตรงนี้ไปมันจะไม่เจอโฆษณาขั้นระหว่างแบบแรนดอมออกมาส่งดาวจะเป็นเชียร์ลิงบิดครับดูในแชทอะครับผมมันจะมีอีโมใช่ไหมด้านขวาและด้านซ้ายจะเป็นฟริซึมขาวๆอะครับตรงแชทอะสี่เหลี่ยมขนมเปียกปูนอันนั้นเชียร์ลิงบิดจะเหมือนส่งดาวส่งเหมือนส่งดาวใช่ก็ส่งได้มีเสียงเล่นด้วยลองดูครับมีผมส่งแบบเสียงก็ได้ครับแบบเสียงก็เลื่อนลงไปดูข้างล่างนะเป็นตาวเลิร์สำหรับแฟนๆโปรตอสแต่จังหวะนี้อเดฟมาเยอะแมสอัพอเดฟเยอะเลยเว้ยผมว่าเขามีปัญหาเรื่องบิตเรทจริงแหละเดี๋ยวผมหาซอสอื่นได้ไหมเผื่อมีซอสอื่นที่แบบบิตเรทดีกว่า เพราะว่าผมก็ 1080p 1060 fps นะหมายถึงว่าผมก็ปรับเป็นแม็กเรามาดูซอสนี้ถ้าซอสนี้ชัดกว่าอย่าสับซอสให้
And so it's just these 4 adepts. There's another warp prism being made, but I feel like, to be honest with you, like it's almost.
ไม่อะผมว่าพอๆกันดูงั้นดูอันนี้แหละครับ
For 45 seconds or something like that. Like he's already going to be ready for this.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, I missed the warp prism going.
สวัสดีครับผมยินดีต้อนรับครับอเดฟครับอเดฟก็ต้องเล่นกับพื้นที่ครับผมยิงแล้วก็เฟดดึงจังหวะหลอกมาสู้กันนอกคลีปนะไม่ออกข้างในก็มีลิงคอยคุมอยู่ฮะพอทางฝั่งเซตได้เห็นซูเล่นในส่วนของกราวยูนิตเยอะครับก็จะเล่น disruptor ป่ะแล้วก็ยังไงฮะเฟดไปทางซ้ายดึงขวาเข้าไหมไม่เข้าหรอกเพราะว่ามีลิงวิ่งตามลิงที่แบบมีเมตาบอลิกบูทแล้วก็วิ่งในครีปเนี่ยมันตามโอเคอันนี้เป็นอีกหนึ่งเทคนิคหนึ่งของ P นะครับก็เรียกเฟดไฟแล้วกันวาร์ปไฟมันจะวาร์ปขึ้นวาร์ปลงวาร์ปปิดซึมหลบดาเมจมันจะมีช่วงจังหวะแอนิเมชันแบบโปรเจกต์ไทล์ครับที่แบบถ้ามันเป็นพวกโรกพวกยูนิตที่เป็นเรนเนี่ยเหมือนกระสุนยังไม่กระทบมันจะเป็นเชียร์ลิงบิดครับสี่เหลี่ยมของ YouTube จะเป็นซูเปอร์แชทหรืออะไรมั้งแต่ไม่มีในไทยไง YouTube มีแค่สมัครสมาชิกรอต่อไปแล้วจังหวะนี้ระเบิดไหมได้โอ้ my god โอเคแต่ลิงพยายามจะโดนล้อมหูเจ็บนะถ้าเสียเดฟแกงนี้ไปหมดนี้พังพินาศเลยนะโอ้เซตเอาตัวรอดไปได้แค่ยังจะดรอปโอเคเก็บของแพงขึ้นไปก่อนยังจะดรอปดรอปไปยิงดรอปไประเบิดโอเคซัพพลายดรอปมา55อันนี้อาการหนักแล้วหนักครับอันนี้หนักแล้วน่าเอาไปโยนควีนเหรอโยนควีนเขาโถมแล้วดิดูจะโถมจบแล้วครับวอลระเบิดก็จบเลยเนี่ยวอลรูเล็กๆเนี่ยโอเคแต่มันยังดีนะมันยังเป็นแค่โรกกับลิงมันไม่ดีละพอวอลระเบิดเริ่มไม่ดีละก็เลยจะบอกมันไม่ใช่เบลลิงที่มันระเบิดวอลไงจังหวะนี้กันได้ไม่วาร์ปอินเข้ามาครับเติมซัพพลายมาเป็น73มินเนอรัลไลน์ตรงนี้ก็ต้องเก็บนะเหมือนพีชีพไปเลยแล้วก็โอเคไหมไม่น่าโอเคแล้ววะ66น่าจะระเบิดครับเซตเอากันได้แต่เจ็บหนักนะบัวเกอร์ดรอปมา36ครับอาร์มี่เหลือเพียง28คือแคสนอกไม่ค่อยชอบเปิดกราฟอาร์มี่ตอนจบไฟนะหรือเป็นเฉพาะเราครับผมชอบเปิดเพราะจะได้เช็คว่าไฟเนี่ยใครมาเยอะกว่าแล้วน้อยต้านมากหรือเปล่าอะไรเงี้ยจะได้เช็คไฟไงบางทีเรามองแต่ซัพพลายครับแต่บางเผ่าคือเวอร์เกอร์มันลอยเยอะมันไม่ใช่อาร์มี่เยอะแต่เป็นเวอร์เกอร์เยอะเตก็ต้องขึ้นเวอร์เกอร์มาใหม่รูปนี้มีใครบ้างครับมีเซตมีตูมีบันนี่มีบายอครับ2ที1 P 1 C โอ้ my god เจอราเวนเจอร์ชุดใหญ่เลยครับอาร์มี่ขึ้นมาในระดับ96ซัพพลายนะแรมนี้สำคัญมากต้องเล่นบนแรมให้ได้ต้องนี่เป็นสิ่งที่เซตทำดีครับแล้วก็ฮาราสด้วยการโยนเดดบอลผมแบบดิจิตอล2โลกโอเคเป็นยังดีเอาไปอีกเม็ดโอเคเฮ้ยทำไมเคลื่อนทับมาเอาจริงเล่นบนไฮแลมเหรอต้องเคลียร์ทูเมอร์ก่อนนะเคลียร์ทูเมอร์ก่อนแล้วก็เล่นบนแรมโอเคเล่นบนแรมจังหวะนี้โอ้ยแป๊บเดียวฮะดูชิวละลายแล้วก็โดนดังใส่มาโอ้ไม่หลบครับแหมคนจริงยุดดิจิตอลแล้วค่อยบลิงพอถึงตัวแล้วค่อยบลิงออกครับโดนละลายจีเจอเซอร์กลิงล็อกขาแล้วโลกราเวนเจอร์ลุมถึงเกมแรกครับซูครับเก็บวินเนอร์ไปก็รอเจอผู้ชนะระหว่างบันนี่แล้วก็บายอนะ
but not good enough.
Yeah, just the debt timing
ไม่ใช่วันของโพตอด
working out. I
ไม่
feel
เหมือน
like
ไม่เหมือน
even in
day
game two, I
one
think
Group
his
A
opening really gave him an advantage. It was the carrier switch that allowed him to eke out a win there at the end and some really nice late game